Alright guys, Raw Rossler here, and this is going to be Video Game Pickups 12. This is the big one. This is what you've all been waiting for. I have the stack of stuff right here. I'll give you a quick glimpse at it. I'm not going to show you the names of anything. I'll just show you this. You can see two. That's fine. But a whole lot of stuff. I've got it in the order that I bought it. And it's just, this is going to be a big episode. I'm excited to do it. So we should probably get into it. Alright, okay. First, let's just talk a little bit about E3. I did, of course, the, 1 minute, sorry. I did the top 5 favourite game thing, but I didn't really talk about the whole conferences. Square bombed, Nintendo bombed, that's all you need to know about those. EA had Mass Effect, Battlefront, Unravel, and Mirror's Edge, and I think that just about made it fine. Xbox, Microsoft did well. I think backwards compatibility worked very well for them. I don't think Gears 4 hit its stride really. Halo 5 looks good, but just nothing special. Rise looks good. Rise of the Tomb Raider looks really good. And my favourite part of that conference actually was probably the HoloLens. I think the HoloLens looks fine. I think it looks really fun and usable. Sony were great. We don't need to talk about Sony. Shenmue 3 looks... I mean, the Kickstarter thing for that was reached in about 9 hours, so that's awesome. We're going to see a new Shenmue. Final Fantasy VII Remake, The Last Guardian, Uncharted 4. Sony nailed it. They won E3 this year, and I'd probably say the Final Fantasy VII thing is the biggest shock. And lastly, Bethesda and Ubisoft. Bethesda, Doom, Fallout, Dishonored 2, and Battlecry, and Ubisoft just had Tom Clancy games. They had Division, Rainbow Six, Siege, Ghost Recon, The Wild Ones, which looks damn good, and For Honor, which looks great. I mean, For Honor was one of my picks in my top 5 favourite games, so it looks really good. Alright, now let's get to the video. There's going to be a lot of stuff, and we are going to start with the DVD of the bunch. And I'm probably going to have a little bit of a story for each one, so this should be fun. Alright, so we're going to start off with Foxcatcher, which is the film that came out in about December of last year, and it's about the Schultz brothers, and the Schultz brothers are a wrestling family who both are Olympic wrestlers in the 80s and the 90s. Dave and Mark Schultz, played expertly by Mark Ruffalo and Channing Tatum, and this movie gave me a real new perspective and respect, to be honest, on Channing Tatum and Steve Carell. You know, two guys who are commonly associated with comedy roles, and in this movie, both men take, well, obviously Carell takes a much darker role as billionaire Johnny DuPont, and Channing Tatum takes the role of Mark Schultz. So I think they both do incredibly well in the roles. It's a tragic story, and one that you need to know a little bit of context to get the full emotion, I think. But it's a great movie. The directing from Bennett Miller's top drawer, and he's had a great career so far. He had Moneyball and Capote, and now Foxcatcher. But the acting is really what steals it, and Carell, honestly, was fantastic as Johnny DuPont. It's an insane performance that deserves a lot of praise, and it got a lot of praise actually. So, I mean, it's a great movie, check it out. I watched it with my parents. My parents weren't as into it as I was, but maybe that's because, you know, the topic's not as interesting to them. But it is still a fantastic movie, and I recommend you check it out. I'd probably give it about a 9 out of 10. I think it was that good. So, Foxcatcher. And now we get on to the games. And we have a lot. And on that day I bought Foxcatcher, I spent £42 on 2 games from Granger Games, and I'll go through this one first. It is Watch Dogs on PS4. There's a lot of PS4 games here. Watch Dogs, I lent it to a friend. I haven't actually played it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. The gameplay is supposed to be good, and the world is supposed to be quite big and open with stuff like chess to play, and those mini games where you get to be the spider tank, like from Spider-Man. But the story is supposed to be pretty trash. Aiden is supposed to be a bad protagonist. And his motive, I mean, his niece dying, that's a different one. I don't think I've ever heard of the niece dying. But I'll probably beat this after what I'm playing at the moment. I'm just beating Sleeping Dogs. I've actually just been on a big rampage on it like 10 minutes ago. But Watch Dogs should be a good game. It's supposed to be good. I haven't seen too high ratings. It's 8s and 7s, really, to be honest. And a few 9s, but I think those people are just being a little bit silly. But yeah, so Watch Dogs, that was £12. Now we have Resident Evil Revelations 2, and I think the best thing about this is the fact that where Resident Evil 6 went wrong is with the co-op being too actiony and too focused on just two characters who have kind of the same skills. Revelations 2 does away with that and says you can have one character who has guns and is very powerful with his guns, but then you can have... Sorry, I'm just looking out the window. Then you can have the one character who's quite weak, but their skills are still useful. You have two campaigns. One is Claire and Moira Burton. Moira Burton has a flashlight and a crowbar. That's all she has. So I think playing as Moira, and you can actually change character on the fly. That's an incredibly cool thing. And it is co-op, both split screen and online, and there's raid mode to play online, which is fun as hell. So the Moira is, of course, the weaker of her and Claire, but Moira has a flashlight which you can see things around easier. Moira has a crowbar, but she is still quite weak. And that was also the same in the Barry Burton campaign, where you have Barry Burton, who is honestly overpowered as hell. And then you have Natalia, who's just a little girl who gets hit and, she dies pretty easily. But Natalia can see enemies that Barry can't. So you go to Natalia, you spot the enemy, then you change back to Barry, and then you have to shoot the enemy. And I really did like that in Revelations 2. I felt that added a lot of tension to some of the battles, and I died a lot because of that part. It's a good game. I think that it surprised me with how good it was. It's not average, it's not above average, it's a good game. It's a solid 7 out of 10. And I think that the story is more intriguing than I thought it would be, but as this is episodic, you get episodes that are better than others, and episode 2 is the clear standout, with episode 4 really being the weak point, and with it only being 4 episodes and 8 hours long. I was a bit surprised it was only 4 episodes. But, I mean, it's a good game. I definitely recommend you check it out. If you're a Resident Evil fan, you've probably already played it. I'm just putting my phone on the side. And if you're a gaming fan, you don't need to play it. I mean, if you're a gaming fan, then this isn't going to sway you to like the franchise or anything like 2 or 4 or the remake are. But play it if you're a Resident Evil fan, because there are some survival horror parts. There's a nice stealth system in Chapter 2, which is the best episode to me. And I think Barry's campaign was a little bit better than Claire's in the end. But they've got the story's good, and then it kind of jumps off a cliff somewhere near the end. So I got all those. Resident Evil Revelations 2 was like £30, and I know that it was actually only released on the PS4, because obviously it was episodic. It wasn't released on disc. And I actually checked, and I think it was about a month later that it was actually released on disc, so I actually like that. I will not get episodic games ever on console. I'd rather just get them on disc. So, like, when Wolf Among Us 2 comes out, I might just wait for it, which will be painful. So, I went to town one weekend with my friend, and before we went, he came to my house, obviously, and he sold me this game, The Chronicles of Riddick Dark Arisen. Arisen's the main character from Dragon's Dogma. And I don't know really what to make of it. I don't know if it's a remake. I don't know. I'm surprised it's actually on PS4. I don't really know anything about it. I know Vin Diesel's obviously in it. But it looks pretty cool. It looks like a first-person shooter. It's probably got some stealth elements like Escape from Butcher Bay has. So, I mean, that could be pretty fun. The case is a bit broken, 1 minute. This was £5, I think. But it looks pretty fun. I don't really know what to make of it, but we will find out, I guess. Oh, it does actually say there, Escape from Butcher Bay. Yeah, cool. Alright, it's actually made by Atari. I didn't actually notice that. It's actually made by Atari. That's actually really cool. And then when we got to town, I picked up a PS4 game for £20, and I kind of did want this because I actually sold it on Xbox because I knew I was going to get it on PS4. That game is The Walking Dead Season 1. It is Telltale's best game, and it is one of the most gripping and emotional stories you will play in a game. The simplest form I can really put this in is it's The Last of Us without gameplay. And that is slightly simple. It sounds slightly simple. The characters aren't as good as Last of Us, I don't think. I don't think Ellie's as good as Clementine. I don't think Lee's as good as Joel. But the margins are pretty small. I really do think the margins are that small. Clementine, I've never really wanted to care for a character as much as I have for Clementine. And to watch her in the game and to save her all the time, it is great. The immersion is perfect. Every other character is just nice to meet. Like, you got Kenny, you got Ben. Ben, Ben's story arc is actually one of my favourites, I think. Krista and O'Mead, Carly, Lily, you got some great characters, and there's some shocking moments that really upset me, and the choices are well done in the game, obviously, like they were in Wolf Among Us. I think this is better than Wolf Among Us, but by fractions. I think this is a 9 out of 10, whereas Wolf Among Us is about an 8. So, Walking Dead Season 1, it's a great game. It's the best game of 2012, in my opinion. And then I got 2 PS3 games. These added up to £17. First one's Uncharted 3. This was £5. This is actually the Game of the Year edition of Uncharted 3. And that's the reason I picked it up is because I wanted more multiplayer skins. And you get free maps. And I think there's something else. I can't remember. I think it's guns or something. So it was £5. I do actually have Uncharted 3 already, but I'll probably just give that to someone. But it is nice to have Uncharted 3, especially because me and my friends actually do play co-op on it sometimes, and I like to play as some of the weird characters. Tenzin's like my favourite Uncharted character. He's so good in Uncharted 2. And I bet in the village with Tenzin is awesome. And you can also get like fat characters called donut characters. So you get Donut Salim, Donut Marlowe, Donut, what's his name, Talbot, Donut Nate, Donut Sully, Donut Cutter. So that stuff's really, I'd love Donut Elena, but hey how. So Uncharted 3, the Game of the Year edition, Drake's Deception. It is one of the best games of 2011. It might be my favourite game in 2011. And the last game of that little bundle there is Toy Story 3. And this surprised me. It was pretty fun. It's very sort of, it's not as good as Toy Story 2 on the PS1. It's nowhere near. But it comes with this cool sleeve. It's cool. And the story is similar to Toy Story 3's. It's not full on. It more like revolves around all three in the series, and that's fine because I love the Toy Story series. It is one of the best animated series ever. Like it's got to be, right? I mean, the movies are all great, and I think this game, it's not as good as the first one on the Mega Drive. It's not as good as the second one on the PS1, but it's still a good game. And me and my friend enjoyed playing it. We actually threw aliens off a train. And that felt awful, but satisfying at the same time. So, yeah, Toy Story 3. It was pretty fun. But you can only play as 3 characters, and that's 4 characters because PS3 gets Zurg. You play as Woody, Buzz, and Jessie, and Zurg. The next 3 games are a bundle that my brother gave me to put on my PS3 shelf, and we'll start with this one, Battlefield Bad Company 2. I love the first Battlefield Bad Company. I think it's very underrated of a game. And this one it came out in about 2009, I think. Or 2010, one of them. And I think it's not as good, I don't think, as the first one, but it still has fantastic multiplayer. And it's still got a good story. I think the best thing about Battlefield Bad Company was that while it had a short story, it was a very engaging one. I thought the characters were interesting, with Sweetwater, Haggard, Preston Marlowe, and I think Redford, something like that. Is it Redford or something? I can't remember. I think Redford is actually from Conflict Global Storm, which is a really good game. Check it out. But whoops, I'm sorry. The rapport between them is still there, especially between Sweetwater and Haggard, and the multiplayer is fun, and the gameplay is improved in this one. So if you like the first one, then definitely check this out. The second game was Resistance 3, and now I have the full Resistance collection on the PS3. The weird thing about this, though, is this actually comes with Battle Los Angeles, and I never actually thought to myself that Resistance is essentially Battle Los Angeles. Like, that is so weird to think that Resistance is actually Battle Los Angeles. I thought about it, like, a little bit to myself, but to actually see it in a Resistance 3 case, it is rather jarring. Resistance 3, it's supposed to be the best one in the series. I haven't actually beat any of them yet, so I will have to run through them at some point because they can't be that long, right? And the last one's the pick of the bunch, and it's the Beyond Two Souls, is it the limited edition, the special edition? My brother bought this when it came out for like £60. We never finished it though, and it's a bit of a shame. The steel book is awesome. And it comes with, I think it just comes with a manual, yeah. Who actually made this? I can't remember. Sony, of course, Sony. But yeah, this is basically, people refer to this and Heavy Rain in like the same breath. And the weird thing is Heavy Rain's probably got more gameplay. And that's I'm not saying much, but actually I did actually find out recently that they are actually remastering Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls on the PS4, and that's something I'm not okay with because I just got them on PS3. I'm a bit annoyed about that. But hey ho, it is cool to have the limited edition because this might be worth something in the future, and I actually should play it because it was pretty fun when we played it and it had an interesting story. Right, okay, so the next PS4 game is The Walking Dead Season 2, and this one is not as good as the first one, but that's not saying much. And it is still very, very good. I think Clementine is the standout in the game. She's better in this one. She's actually in the first one. But the secondary cast isn't as good. But you do still have good characters. Kenny returns. Spoiler alert. You get a character called Luke. There's this girl called Jane. Carlos. There's a few standouts. Mike's boring. Bonnie's cool, I guess. She betrayed me though in the end. But yeah, it is still a great game, and I'd definitely check it out. If you loved Walking Dead Season 1, you're going to love this. Because this is more of the same, with just more gameplay. It has more gameplay, but I just don't think the story is as strong. And with episodic games like this, you know, you are going to have that, you know, there's one episode that's a bit out of place and not as good. And with all Telltale games, why is it Episode 4? Episode 4 of Wolf Among Us did really nothing for the story. Episode 4 of Walking Dead just adds this random side story. And episode 4 of this is the weakest of the 5, so it seems to be an episode 4 curse. And actually, from what I've read, Game of Thrones episode 4 seems to be the best episode. I saw it get like an 8.2 on IGN, so that was cool. But yeah, Walking Dead Season 2, I actually beat it last night. I started it about 5 o'clock, finished about 1, and I really enjoyed it. I felt the emotional impact of my ending. I had the lump in my throat. I nearly cried. It was epic, and I really did love it. I think that it did. It's a great. The Walking Dead games are great emotionally, and this one really hits it out of the park in the end. There aren't too many emotional moments, and it's not as emotional as the first one, but it's still got some emotion there. Alright, the next game, I will first tell you a story. My PS4 was having issues, and I decided that I was going to take it into Game because it wouldn't take discs. So when we took it to Game, the guy checked it, and actually it didn't, and he was like, wow, I'm actually pretty surprised. So he decided that he was going to replace my white PS4, which I don't have anymore, with a black one, because he didn't have any white ones in, and I was like, yeah, sure, that's fine. But then he realised that the white one actually, I think, cost more. So when we were talking to him, he was like, because of certain things and coding and stuff, I can actually get you 2 years of warranty for your PS4 and a game for £10. And I was slightly shocked by this, and I was just like, alright, okay. And then I didn't really believe it until I saw actually on the machine, it said £109, and then he said, check it now, and it said £9.99. And I was like, oh geez, holy Christ. And then I did something I probably shouldn't have because it was a bit rude. I was like, what game am I getting? Because I thought I was just going to get like FIFA or something like that. And he said, no, you're actually getting The Witcher 3. Take into account, this game came out 10 days. 10 days. It still costs £50 now in store. This game came out 10 days before I got it for not even £10. It's about £4.50 or something like that. That is insane that I got this game for £10. And let me actually show you what you get with this game. You get a nice sleeve. You get the manual. You get a soundtrack, and the soundtrack is immense. You get a thank you card from CG Projekt Red for buying the game. How many games do that? You get some stickers. You get a world map, and let me tell you, the world in this game is huge and expansive. Let me open it up. There's the map. I'm not going to put it away yet. You get a compendium, which just tells you like characters and a bit of backstory. So let me just gush about the actual game. The game is a masterpiece. It has one of the most incredibly well-written stories I've found in a very long time. It has an expansive open world where you can do Witcher contracts, compete in fist fights, horse races, just do random quests, and you can do one of my favourite mini games I have ever played in a game, Gwent. Gwent seems like a pretty simple card game where it's just having the highest score, but it really isn't. Gwent is about having tactics, having a stronger deck than your opponent, picking your cards well, playing weather cards at the right time, playing drone cards at the right time, and I've put about 10 hours just into Gwent. I put about 60 hours into the entire game. Gwent is seriously, like, Gwent is incredible. Like, I absolutely loved it. If they released a game of Gwent, if they released cards, and they actually did with the special edition of the game, then I would want that. Like, I really do want some Gwent cards, like, for Christmas or something. But, besides Gwent, what does the game have to offer you? It has an incredible story. The story about Geralt, the main character, trying to find his lover Yennefer, which he does really early on, and then Ciri, who is kind of his adopted daughter, is so compelling because you meet so many amazing characters, from Triss Marigold to Yennefer, who I unfortunately tried to romance both because I thought I could do it, and I felt like I'd actually won something. But they pulled a trick on me, and they promised me a threesome, and they didn't give me it, so that was a bit of a shame. And the game, seriously, has such a great story, and it's got a great emotional payoff in the end, with, like, there's so many different endings. The level up system is fantastic, with certain skill trees. Some of them do seem a little bit more important than others, but you find that in every RPG game. The combat, let's gush about that. You have two swords. You have a silver sword for creatures and a steel sword for humans. That's fine, that's a cool thing, and Geralt actually will pull the sword automatically out when he's ready to fight his opponent. You have a crossbow, which is quite ineffective normally, but it's great for taking down higher foes and foes underwater, and the swimming in this game is a lot better than a lot of other games. These signs add a lot of little dexterity to combat, as they sort of change up combat. Like, you can use certain signs on certain enemies, as certain enemies have certain weaknesses. You can also employ oils on your swords, and you can find special herbs and stuff that will help you against enemies. You can craft potions in probably the best alchemy I've ever seen in a game. The horse riding is the best I've ever seen in a game. This is top drawer, AAA stuff right here. The Witcher 3 is a masterpiece. It is by far the best game this year, and is a 10 out of 10. It is not just the best PS4 game I've played, apart from The Last of Us. It is not just the best role-playing game on the console I've ever played. It is one of the best games I've ever played. If I had to do a list of the top 10 games I've ever played, this would actually be in there. And I'm not being... There are many games I do give a 10 out of 10 to. Bioshock's one, The Last of Us is another, Snake Eater, MGS 1, Mass Effect 2. Those games deserve 10s out of 10s, and Witcher 3 is in that division. It deserves to be there because it is a masterpiece. This is a game you need to check out now because it is by far the best game this year. And I don't care what anybody says, sure it was hyped up, but every game now is hyped to some degree. And with this game being as good... This is the game I think over the past 2 or 3 years has met its hype the most. I believe this was better than GTA 5. I believe this was better than Infinite. I believe this was better than, everything last year. And everything so far this year. And Phantom Pain, Fallout 4, Arkham Knight, those games are going to have to push themselves to beat this game because it is a remarkable piece of work and a masterpiece, and CD Projekt Red should get a lot of praise for this. I can see this winning Game of the Year at this moment. It just depends on how Phantom Pain and Fallout 4 and Arkham Knight do, but seriously, this has got to be the front runner. Absolutely incredible, buy it, and I got it for like less than a $5. So, after gushing about that, we move on to another game that is a contender for Game of the Year, and it's a game I'm playing right now. I'm about 35 hours in, and I'm so involved. It's Bloodborne. Now, it has a reversible case, but I like this side better. Bloodborne has very intuitive gameplay, which kind of takes from the Dark Souls-esque nature, but you can't block anymore. unless you have a shield, which you only get like one shield in the entire game, and it's not very good. So instead you have to parry your opponents with a gun, and the transition of moves works very well. Your weapons, you have two forms, so you have a normal form, like I have a saw blade, which normally the saw is near the handle, and after it looks like a normal sword. That's a very compelling thing, and I really like that. The world in the game, it has this British vibe to it that makes it look very like London-y, and I really like that. And the boss fights. Oh god, the boss fights. Okay, the boss fights are awesome because you really have to prepare and level your character up to a certain degree to get into the boss fights. The bosses have weaknesses that you should exploit. And I'm going to bring up probably my favourite boss fight so far was an enemy called the Shadows of Yharnam. And this was 3 enemies. One of them had a flaming sword, one of them had a normal sword, and one of them had fireballs. And I had to beat all 3 of them. And I decided that bolt paper, which which electrocutes your blade, would help me because I can use electric on the guards. And it actually did. And I beat them, and I felt such reward from it. I felt like I'd done something and actually progressed in the game, and that made me feel happy. The leveling up system in the game is very interesting, as you can only level up 1 stat at a time and only by 1 point. So basically, I'm like level 80 and I'm still not that good. I think the highest level is about 544. That is very high. Like, Jesus, that's like high for an RPG. It is an RPG. The respawning enemies seem to annoy people, but I think it's fine. Like, that's fine for me. It's a Dark Souls kind of game, so that's it's Dark Souls. The Bloodborne is definitely one of the best games of the year. I'd probably say second behind The Witcher 3. But seriously, you should definitely check out Bloodborne if you have a PS4. This is the best exclusive for it. Definitely check it out. It's an amazing game. I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I haven't finished it. I'm about 35 hours in. I'm on a boss right now. It's pretty difficult. And now we're on to the last 3 of the video. And so let's get into it. Alright, so... Oh, sorry, the last 2. Bloodborne. I bought Bloodborne. Bloodborne was 40 quid. And then on the same day, I wanted to get one more PS4 game, and I'd wanted it for a while, and it's Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare. So when I went to a shop, I saw it in a window, and I asked them how much it was, and they said £20 for that, and then they showed me Assassin's... Oh no, they said, yeah, it's £20. And then they showed me Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and they said that was 15, and then they said they'd give me both for £30. So I decided, hey-ho, we'll get both. I haven't actually played Black Flag yet, so I can't really tell you much. I know the naval combat's supposed to be fun as hell. My friend actually owns it. He said he loved it. Well, no, he said it was probably the second best Assassin's Creed behind number 2. Another friend of mine said it was really good, and I can't wait to do the naval combat stuff. It's a bit of a shame that there's no naval multiplayer combat. There's just multiplayer along it, which is pretty fun anyway. But I do actually like Assassin's Creed's multiplayer. But this is probably the second best Assassin's Creed from what I know, and I'm looking forward to playing it. And it was basically £10, so £10 for a PS4 game. And the last game is the one I've also played a lot of. Oops, the discs fell. A bit of time into, and it's Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare. Now I'm actually a bit of a fan of the original Plants vs Zombies. I think the strategic element was interesting, and I liked the sort of humour that the game had. Now, Garden Warfare turns it into this third-person shooter, kind of like Star Wars Battlefront, as it had a class-based system. And I really liked that. I think that the class system works because each class has enough different moves to distinguish them from the others. And, you've got the plants, you've got a sunflower, which shoots and can also heal. You've got the cactus, which is basically a sniper. You've got the pea shooter, which is kind of like a grenade launcher, I guess. And then you've got my favourite class. Oh no, not the Chomper. The Chomper, which is basically a melee class. My favourite of those is probably the Sunflower. It seems to have the best weapon. But it is definitely a fun game. You should definitely check it out if you're into this sort of thing. It is really... There's no campaign. It's just matchmaking and stuff like that. But it is a fun game, and I got it for £20, so I'm fine with that. And that, guys, is the haul. So let me just put it all in a pile, and I'll show you it. That is the haul. That is my 2 months worth of stuff. There it all is. Can you see it all? Yeah. So I'm on a camera shot, sorry. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. I will be doing. It won't be a while before I'm doing one of these. I've got money. I've got to save up money now for Hitman, my holiday, and Mass Effect, and well, not Mass Effect. That's next year. What was the other one? Oh, MGS and Fallout. So it's gonna be like 150 quid. Oh. I don't even know if they're putting Fallout actually, not Fallout, Hitman on discs. That's annoying. But thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe for more, and play The Witcher 3 because it's really good. Thanks.